Mary.
Good morning, Susie. International Artist. Good morning. Oh, that light is busy just now. Would you wait just a moment, please?
Why, what's going on here?
Oh, Susie, it's terrible. Just terrible. They took him away.
Who?
Mr. Sands.
Who took him away?
The hospital, in a stretcher, on an ambulance.
Well, what happened?
He came in just a little while ago, and he was stricken.
Well, what do you mean stricken?
Well, I don't know, just stricken. He carried on the name and screamed. Oh, it was awful.
Oh, well, now pull yourself together, Vi. It isn't as bad as all that. He had a checkup last week. He was fine.
You never know.
You never know what?
Well, I don't know. You just never know.
Oh, well, what hospital is he in?
Civic Medical.
Well, I'll go right over. If anything urgent comes up, just call me.
Oh, these messages came for you in this telegram.
I'll put the messages on my desk. I'll get to them later.
Susie, keep in touch.
I will. And in the meantime, carry on as usual like the brave girl I know you are. And Vi, for heaven's sakes, blow your nose. Oh, Dr. Martin.
Hello, Susie.
What is it?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He had an attack of indigestion, that's all, and a mild one at that.
Well, then why did you bring him to the hospital?
I didn't bring him. He booked the room. He ordered the ambulance. He's imagining all sorts of symptoms and pains and whatnots. He's an impossible hypochondriac. Susie, in all of my years in the medical profession, I have never encountered anything like this.
Dr. Martin, he wants an oxygen tent.
Well, tell him he can't have one. This thing's going far enough.
Oh, well, orderly, just tell him it's on its way. Doctor, may I borrow your pad, please? And your pen. I've been through these spells before. Just let me handle it.
I don't care who handles it, as long as you get him out of there. We need this room for people who are really sick. And he won't budge from that bed.
He says all right, but he's going to hold his breath until it comes.
Good.
Orderly, will you bring these things up to the room? Mr. Sands is especially fond of my coffee. I think if I made some for him, he might be a little more pliable.
Well, anything. Only get him out of here before he drives us all crazy.
Now, don't you worry, Doctor. I'll have him out by noon. Hello, Mr. Sands.
Hello, Susie. Don't come too close.
I just saw Dr. Martin in the corridor.
Oh, I suppose he told you there was nothing wrong with me.
No. On the contrary, he's very worried.
He is?
He says in all the years he's practiced medicine, he's never encountered anything like this.
Is that so? Why didn't he tell me that?
Well, I suppose in your delicate condition, he didn't want to alarm you.
I see. They might have told me I'm old enough to know the truth.
Certainly. And anyhow, who wants to pay a doctor $20 just to hear there's nothing the matter? When there is.
Exactly.
Oh, here are the things I had sent up so I could make you some coffee.
Oh, bless you, Susie. You're so thoughtful. If you could see what they call coffee in this place, you'd think I wasn't dying fast enough for it.
Well, I'll have it ready in a minute. Just try to stay alive. Cup? Sugar? Scalpel. Cream? Spoon? Well done. Good.
Wonderful, Susie. I feel a little better, but not much.
I must look in on some other patients. If you want me, just press the buzzer.
Oh, no. Don't leave me. Don't leave me like this.
No, Mr. Sands, you're doing beautifully.
I'm not. I feel awful.
Do you feel dizzy?
Yes.
Is there a ringing in your ears?
Yes.
Does everything look hazy?
Yes. Yes.
Well, good. That's just the reaction you're supposed to have from that medicine. I'll come back soon.
Don't go far. I may not be here when you come back.
Would you like me to read to you?
No, Susie. I'd like for you to take some dictation.
Dictation? Well, fine. Fine. A little work will take your mind off your condition. A letter?
No, I want to dictate my will.
Your will?
I've never made a will, Susan. I think I ought to now before.
It's too late.
Yes. March 11th, 19, etc. I, Peter Sands. You know, Susie, I think I'll leave my interests in the agency to you. When I go, you will be head of international artists.
Why, thank you, Mr. Sands. I've never been the head of anything.
No one deserves it more, Susie. For 8 years, you've been loyal, patient, understanding,
Efficient.
and very attractive, Susie.
Why, Mr. Sands, you never said that when you were alive. I mean, when you were well. Oh, Mr. Sands, do you remember the first time I came to your office? I thought I was the hottest thing in show business. And you were just beginning to be one of the most important agents in town. You remember?
You look the contract over when you get home, Octavia. I'm sure you'll find everything in order. And thanks a lot for coming in.
You know, Peter, darling, I wouldn't think of coming out at this hour of the day for anyone but you. I'm such a nocturnal creature. I simply don't come alive until that beastly sun goes down. Darling, you do understand, don't you?
Yes, I understand perfectly, Octavia. Believe me, I appreciate it. Call me in the morning.
But you haven't said goodbye to Fufu. That. Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye.
Mr. Sands.
Yes, who are you?
Well, I'm Susan McNamara. I need an agent, and I can sing, dance, act, do imitations, and juggle.
That's good. Come on in. Sit down.
Well, now, I haven't had much professional experience, but you'll forget all about that when you get a load of what I can do. Now watch this. Da-dum, da-dum, dum, dum. Oh, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do. Oh, it's what you do, it's the way that you do it. That's what gets results.
Can you take shorthand?
Sure. I don't think you saw me very well from behind the desk, Mr. Sands. Now, watch this. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it.
Can you type?
Yes, sure. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it.
I need a private secretary. You want the job? $50 a week to start in your own office in there.
Well, all right, but just temporarily. I want to go on the stage. Hey, let me do an imitation for you. Now, let's see, Now, who am I? You know, Peter, darling, I wouldn't dream of coming out of this hour of the day for anyone but you. I'm such a nocturnal creature. I just don't come alive unless you do understand, don't you, darling?
That will be all, Miss McNamara.
But you haven't said goodbye to food.
Well, the disgusting exhibitions I've ever witnessed.
Octavia.
I just came back to get my bag, but as long as I'm here, I can give you your contract.
Octavia!
I never want to see you again as long as I live. And neither does Fufu.
Miss McNamara. All the stupid, idiotic, senseless,
Imbecilic.
Yes, and feeble-minded stunts you ever pulled, that one certainly takes the blue ribbon.
Well, gee, Mr. Sands, how could I possibly have known she left her purse behind?
We had no business to do such a thing in the first place.
Well, you have to admit it wasn't a bad imitation.
It was fair.
Well, what difference does it make? She quit show business 3 days later anyhow. She married a Maharaja and has been living in India ever since. With poo-poo.
Well, it might have been disastrous. You were just lucky. Now, let's get back to my will.
Yes, sir.
Where were we?
March 11th.
I, Peter Sands, being of sound mind.
Ah!
What's so funny about that?
Oh, I wasn't laughing at that, Mr. Sands. I was just thinking of the first time you ever took me out for dinner.
When?
Well, I've been working for you about 4 years then. There was a new playwright in town you were very anxious to sign. He just come from Missouri with his wife. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
What was his name? Evans. John Evans. That was his name. I remember he and his wife couldn't join us for dinner, so they promised to stop by the restaurant and have a drink. But, Mr. Sands, you can't be serious about this John Evans. He's a terrible writer. I think his play, Death of an Usher, is horrible. It may be none of my business, but I think you're making a dreadful mistake.
I know what I'm doing, Miss McNamara, and as you say, it's none of your business.
Well, you're just saying that because I said it. As a matter of fact, I feel it is my business. Just tell me one redeeming feature in that play.
Why don't you eat your dinner? I thought you were starved.
I am. But this is more important.
Here they come. Now, not one word out of you, understand? Hello, John. Mrs. Evans, nice to see you. I don't think you've met my secretary, Miss McNamara. Susie, may I present Mr. and Mrs. Evans?
How do you do?
Sit over here by me, John. I want to talk business with you. Susie, why don't you explain the subway system to Mrs. Evans? I understand you've been having some trouble with our subways.
Yes, I always get the right train, but I never know where to get off.
Well, I can tell you how to beat the subway in one word, Mrs. Evans. Taxi. I'm sorry we've just started eating. We were late and the service is slow tonight. Would you like anything?
Oh, good heavens, no. I've just had the most enormous dinner. I don't know what possessed me. I never eat that much at home.
Oh, well, if you won't have anything, do you mind if I go ahead?
Oh, gracious, no, you go right ahead and eat. I'll watch.
You will?
Now, what is that?
Wine.
I know, but I mean, what kind of wine?
Well, I'm not...
I expect that is the prettiest color I've ever seen. Look how it sparkles. Do you mind if I... Oh, isn't that perfectly delicious?
Well, I wouldn't know. I haven't had any
Well,
yet.
it's sheer heavenly.
Would you like a glass?
Oh, no. Thank you. I couldn't. Excuse me, really. If you had seen the dinner I put away.
Oh, yes.
What is that?
French fried potato.
Oh, is that so? You know, I think that's the only thing we didn't have tonight. Why, they do them up grand here, don't they? May I just... Unbelievable. You know, if I wasn't so full, I want to tell you something. I could dive into that place.
Well, it'd be no trouble to order you another plate to dive into, Mrs. Evans. In fact, I'd enjoy it.
Oh, no, dear, I couldn't. Just couldn't. I have to be very careful. I am overweight.
No.
I hardly eat a thing all day long, but it just seems as if everything I eat turns to fat. What's that?
Oh, well, just steak. This plain old steak that you have every day. It'll turn right into fat.
I don't care. I just have to have one little sliver. With a little bit of salt on it, please.
Well, how are you two getting along?
Fine. I haven't told Mrs. Evans where to get off yet, but I'm about to.
He did you read John's play?
Did I read it?
Did you love it?
Did I love it? I don't see how it can miss. It's what we need on Broadway now. A good rollicking comedy.
A good rollicking comedy?
Like Death of an Usher.
Like Death of an Usher?
Oh, and what a musical it would make.
But, Miss McNamara, Death of an Usher is a tragedy, a deep, deep tragedy.
Well, now, that's what I've heard, Mrs. Evans, but I don't see it that way. Personally, I laughed myself sick.
Oh, you could.
Oh, I certainly did. And I want you to know, Mrs. Evans, I think your son is extremely talented.
My son? Well, I must say...
Now, Cora.
John, please take me back to the hotel at once. I've never been so insulted in all my life. She thinks that Death of an Usher is a rollicking comedy, and she thinks that you are my son.
John, there's nothing more to say, Mr. Sands. I will not have my wife exposed to such treatment. She is a very delicate woman. Good night.
But John!
I thought they'd never leave.
Miss McNamara! Without a doubt, that was the most deaf, foolish, ridiculous trick you ever pulled. Out of the goodness of my heart, I took you to dinner, and you cost me a clock.
Now, Mr. Sands, remember how sick you are. Besides, Death of an Usher was murdered by the critics and ran only 3 performances.
He also wrote Pistols at Dawn.
10 performances.
The Savage Heart.
4 performances.
Well, I liked it.
You didn't see it.
Well, I liked what I heard about it. Look, Susie, I don't care about John Evans, but the point is, why can't you let me live my own life? Not all the time. That'd be too much to ask, but just once in a while, like on holidays and special occasions.
Certainly, Mr. Sands. I'll make a note of it. Let's live.
Where's that nurse?
Which nurse?
The one that was here before.
Oh, the pretty one. Well, she'll be back. What do you want?
I want some pills.
Oh. Well, here's some pills. Will this do?
No, I'm tired of those. Let's try these little white ones.
I, Peter Sands, being of sound mind.
I, Peter Sands, being of sound mind.
Mr. Sands, do you remember the day we really pulled our biggest boner?
Susie, I can't stand any more reminiscences out of you. I just haven't the strength.
But I have to admit this was all my fault.
Oh? What was that?
Well, you were in a very crotchety mood that morning, and you just refused to listen to this wonderful performer I'd found. Mr. Sands hasn't much time, so if you'll just go right ahead, please.
That's enough, thank you. What's your name?
Benny, Jack Benny.
Oh, well, thank you for coming in, Mr. Benny. You play well, but not well enough, I'm afraid.
Oh. Well, I tell jokes, too, you know.
Oh, yes, Mr. Benny's a wonderful comedian. If you'd only listen,
Please,
Mr.
Miss
Sands.
McNamara, there's no point in your telling me any jokes, Mr. Benny. I can tell just by looking at you that you're not a humorous person at all. How old are you?
39.
Buy yourself a little grocery store somewhere. You're still young enough to make a go of it. You'll never get anywhere in show business. I'm sure of that. Goodbye, Mr. Bunny.
No, Benny, Jack Benny.
Mr. Sands, you're making a terrible mistake.
That will be all, Miss McNamara.
Oh, Miss McNamara, you...
Oh, yes. Oh, Mr. Sands, I promised Mr. Benny we'd pay his car fare if he came in to see us.
Ah. There you are. Oh, thanks for coming in.
I live in Mamaroneck now.
North Mamaroneck. With my mother.
What does your mother have to do with it?
Oh, well, she brought me here.
All right. That's enough. I'm not paying traveling expenses for your whole family.
Well, goodbye, Miss McNamara. Thank you very, very much.
Goodbye, Mr. Benny, and please don't be discouraged.
No, I won't. I'll keep trying.
Yes. Well, goodbye.
Bye.
How could you have let me do such a thing? You knew I was distracted that morning. I probably wasn't even listening.
Well, like I said, Mr. Sands, it was all my fault. I'm terribly sorry.
Well, no use crying over spilt milk. Sort of thing happens in show business every day. MGM once fired Fred Astaire. Now, where were we?
March 11th, 1900.
Yeah. What time?
11 o'clock.
11 a.m. I, Peter Sands. 11 o'clock. Oh, no. Aren't you supposed to be at the airport meeting Toscanelli? Susie, how could you do such a thing? I promised him there'd be somebody there to meet him. Leave the business to you. I can't even leave the business, period. Where are my clothes?
I think they're in the closet.
Call the airport. No, call Vi. Tell her to call the airport and tell Toscanelli I'm on my way down. Tell him I was held up. Anything.
Hello, would you get me Plaza 51955, please?
Are you calling Vi?
Yes, Mr. Sands. Hello, Vi. Hold everything, honey. We'll be right over.
I'll take a taxi to the airport. You pay the bill downstairs and I'll meet you back at the office.
Oh, Mr. Sands.
What?
I just remembered something.
What?
This telegram came from Toscanelli this morning. He's decided to take the train and won't be in for 2 days.
I see. Why didn't you tell me this before you let me get out of my sick bed? Why didn't you tell me this when you came in?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was so upset about your illness, it completely slipped my mind.
Really? Then I suppose you think now that I'm up, I'll go back to the office.
Well, you do look better.
Well, I'm not. I never felt worse. I'm going right back to bed.
Oh, no.
I don't expect any sympathy and understanding from you, Miss McNamara. You go back to the office. Miss Collins will take care of me. Nurses have feelings. They're not like private secretaries who don't care about anything but themselves. Just let them get anything they want, and everybody else can lie in pain and misery. Go on back to the office. I prefer to put myself in Miss Collins' hands.
I'll bet. You rang?
Where's Miss Collins?
She's off for the rest of the day. I'm Miss Cunningham, your relief nurse.
I suppose this is some more of your work? All right. You win. Let's go.
Honey, you may be just a relief nurse around here, but you're Florence Nightingale to me.
Good luck.